A roundup of the latest news now. Here are our top stories. Princes Andrew and Harry will be absent from the royal balcony at the Queen's upcoming Platinum Jubilee celebrations. The Queen explains why. Israel concludes that the late Palestinian journalist Shireen Abu Akleh may in fact have died of a new strain of COVID-19, causing sudden death called Palvir. UK Chancellor Rishi Sunak increases income tax and VAT to create much-needed revenue to fund the growing number of fines incurred by the government for breaches of COVID-19 restrictions. London Mayor Sadiq Khan considers legalising cannabis in the capital. He will be receiving a special report from the mayor on his visit to a Californian cannabis farm. Indian couple sue their son for failing to give them a grandson, and English footballer Jake Daniels comes out as gay as the first footballer to do so for 32 years, while Senegalese footballer Idrissa Gueye insists that he is not gay. More on those top stories to come. First to the UK, and Princes Andrew and Harry will be absent from the royal balcony at Buckingham Palace for the Queen's Platinum Jubilee celebrations. The Queen made the following statement from Buckingham Palace.
I'm very much looking forward to the Platinum Jubilee celebrations. It is a terrible shame that my late husband won't be in attendance. I've been overwhelmed by the well-wishing that I've received already. It will be a very special occasion. With that in mind, I have banned that Paedo son of mine, Andrew. There is simply no place in the palace for that kind of conduct. I've also banned my grandson, Harry, his wife, Meghan, and my great-grandson, Archie. Ethnic diversity has its place. Its place is in the faces of people I visit on royal missions. Its place is not Buckingham Palace.
An Israeli investigation has found that the late Palestinian journalist Shireen Abu Akleh, who was killed earlier this month while reporting on Israeli military violence, died of a new COVID-19 strain causing sudden death called Palvir. With me in the studio to discuss the findings is Israeli Ministry of Defense spokesman Ofek Anuzi. Ofek, there is footage all over the internet of Shireen Abu Akleh having been shot in the head, apparently by Israeli snipers, while reporting about Israeli army brutality. She was unarmed and was wearing a press vest. Isn't Israel just clutching at straws here? Bob, please, we have one of the highest vaccination rates in the world and one of the most advanced technology centers in the world. So we know a few things about COVID-19 and the vaccines. This new strain, Palvir, is very dangerous. It can kill instantly. What happened to Miss Abu Akleh is she contracted this strain and it caused a sudden brain aneurysm with possible spontaneous brain combustion causing an exit wound in the head. Can I just stop you there? Is the reality not that the Israeli army killed Miss Abu Akleh because she shed light on some pretty uncomfortable home truths, such as, ironically perhaps, unlawful killings with impunity? Being a Christian from Bethlehem and a US citizen, Shireen was the sort of advocate for the Palestinian cause which made Israel very uncomfortable. Israel is notorious for wanting to silence dissent and solidarity with Palestinians as tantamount to Islamist terrorism. Shireen didn't fit that mold, and that was problematic for Israel. She reminded the world about Israel's ongoing occupation of Palestine in breach of UN Security Council resolutions and international law. In short, Israel should not even have been on the territory from which Miss Abu Akleh was killed. Bob, I have to stop you there. We are very advanced, not only militarily, but also technologically. Our forensic technology is so advanced that we can identify the issuer of a fart from Papua New Guinea to Patagonia. So please don't misunderstand. As for what you call the occupation, please remember that the Jewish people have a God-given right of it. Shireen was a tireless advocate for Palestinians while maintaining impartiality and professionalism. She was a respected journalist, not just amongst Palestinians, many of whom view her as a martyr and her assassination as symbolic of the injustices they face, but also internationally. Isn't it time that Israel started to behave like the democracy it claims to be? Isn't it time that Israel withdrew from the occupied territories and gave Palestinians back the rights that it took away from them? No, but Bob, wait a minute. You can't tell me about the journalist impartiality and then go on like this. This is double standard. Speaking of double standards, Shireen was also a US national, and the US ambassador to Israel encouraged Israel to carry out an investigation into her death. Isn't the reality that if Shireen had been a US national who wasn't also Palestinian and was killed, say, in Ukraine by the Russians, that the US would be demanding an immediate independent investigation into the killing? Whereas here we just have some mild encouragement for an investigation. Bob, I feel very unwelcome here. I don't think I'm being given an opportunity to be heard. In fact, I feel persecuted, very persecuted indeed. Okay, I think we'll draw the persecution to a close then. Ofek, thank you. Economy news now, and UK Chancellor Rishi Sunak has announced a 10% increase in income tax and 5% increase in VAT to 25% to fund the growing number of fines received by the government from the Metropolitan Police for COVID-19 breaches. The police have issued 100 fines, predominantly to public officials and civil servants, in response to parties held at the Prime Minister's residence during lockdown, including to PM Boris Johnson himself, as part of what has been labelled Partygate. This has led to 10 Downing Street being dubbed the most fined building in the country. Some of the additional revenue created will go towards funding a soundproofed extension to the PM's residence, which will include several jacuzzis, a dance floor, a 24-hour bar, and DJ equipment. London Mayor Sadiq Khan is considering legalising cannabis in the capital. He joined me briefly while on a visit to a cannabis farm in California. Sadiq, what can we expect? Sorry, Bob. I'm a bit tied up here, but what we can expect is the embracing of a drug which does no harm, and official authorization for Londoners to get lean. Sadiq Khan there, joining me from California. To India now, and an Indian couple, Sanjeev and Sadhana Prasad, have sued their son for failing to have a child after 6 years of marriage. The couple claimed that they endured mental cruelty as a result and spent large sums of money on their son's wedding and training as a pilot. They're seeking a court order to demand their son to either have a child within a year or pay them the sum of 50 million rupees, around £550,000, in damages. Sanjeev Prasad made the following statement from the North Indian state of Uttarakhand. You know, in my day, everybody got married at the right time. Often as a teenager. Our Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, himself got married at 13. Now everybody wants to get married too late. At 20, 25, 30 even. Okay, no problem. But my son has been married 6 years and still no child? What is this, yaar? You have problem with your plumbing or what? I am telling you, if you don't produce a child within 1 year, you must pay back the 50 million rupees your mother and I spent on your wedding, your clothes, your pilot license. That is all. And finally, Paris Saint-Germain footballer Idrissa Gueye refused to wear a kit featuring rainbow colours, as is the annual tradition on the 17th of May in France's top football division, to mark the International Day against homophobia, transphobia and biphobia. With English footballer Jake Daniels coming out as gay earlier this month, the first to do so in 32 years since Justin Fashanu, the Senegalese footballer's decision not to partake has re-emphasised the hostility and barriers to coming out that homosexual men encounter in the sport. Our sports correspondent Ben Down caught up with Mr. Gueye after a PSG training session in the French capital. You must be gay. No, I am not gay. You are gay. Sorry, I mean you're Idrissa Gueye. Yes, Idrissa Gueye, who is not gay.
Indeed. Could you please just explain your position on the rainbow colours?
Yes, my position is that it should be my choice, not Ligue 1's choice, whether I wear the rainbow colours or not. Just as players can choose to take the knee or not.
But isn't this sending the wrong message? If football is to say no to racism, why should it not say no to homophobia?
I don't know, leave me alone. Yeah, fuck off.